Gents, I don't know when this is actually going to happen. It looks like Kennedy has indicated on his image that at 1 o'clock Central Time he's going to address the nation. But it says in the note 1:30 Central Time or 2:30 Eastern. So it might not be for another 28 minutes, but I've got a feeling we're about to hear Robert F. Kennedy go ahead and support Donald Trump, which is going to be insane when he does the backing behind that. I'm going to update the viewer count. I think it's kind of broken here. I'll try and fix that. But guys, Bitcoin is already past 63,000 right now and climbing. Let me pull that up real quick. This is just going to launch, guys. This is going to get real crazy soon. So on the daily time frame, we are testing above the 200 moving average now. We've actually hit 63,300 is the new mark, which is very good. And I've got a feeling here that we're going to get past the 100 moving average today, too. This is going to be very, very exciting times, guys. This is a major news event. If you're in chat, throw something out. Hey, what's up, man? How's it going? Big hit, B-Man. Yeah, man, this is crazy. So if he supports Trump, if he starts supporting Trump in 26 minutes, the market is going to explode. And hey, guys, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? I said if there's a hint that Trump is going to win this thing, Bitcoin will start to rise. And now we're at 63,300 for a recent high here, up 4.6% on the day. I think that could go a lot higher. We could definitely see 65, 66 today, if not try and test up towards the $68,000 range. If what we think is going to happen happens in the next 25 minutes. So this is just a very exciting time, at least for me. I hope you guys too. Yeah, JJ Savage says hit the like. If you guys could do that, that'd be amazing. It looks like Arumi says, what's your highest conviction stock? Buy now, Jesse. No crypto related though, thanks. I mean, Tesla is probably going to be my most convicted stock. I do like PayPal. I do like ArcG. I do like the hood options that I have. There's a bunch of stuff that I like, but Tesla would be it. It's always going to be it for stock. It will always be Tesla, and then it'll be Bitcoin, and then it'll be other stuff. All right. Yo, says Dan. Mark, looking for group. Dan, hit the like button. Thank you, Dan. Stefan, hey again, Jesse. Big H Man, happy birthday weekend. It's my birthday tomorrow. I'm pretty excited. So thank you, man. I appreciate it. Scottsdale VR just put it out there and then took it back. Midwest Cannabis, what up, dude? Yeah, 63,000 guys. I'm so excited. The second this thing came out, like in the last 14 minutes, that's when we went up. I'm gonna check real quickly. I'm gonna hop around here and see what we can find for information here. I should update my post real quick too. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna do that, and then yeah, because this is gonna get crazy. This is gonna get very exciting. All right, let me throw in the link here for mine. Just got to remember this stuff. I hate actually being a social media influencer person. The act of the work of it is not fun for me. But I do it nonetheless. All right, here we go. There's a link. All right, so let's see what else we got going on here. What's the birthday minute? I'm going to be at a lake hanging out with friends and taking my daughter around on a jet ski. It should be a good time. Should be a good birthday. All right, Caleb just said a big, nice, round figure in my net worth for the first time. Unreal. Young Caleb would be freaking out. Current Caleb can't wait to manifest more financial. That sounds very Caleb. All right, how do you feel about the future? In 23 minutes, probably very optimistic. Very. Look at this. Look at it. I'm just going to do this. Sorry, I can't help it. I gotta gloat. Because when you're right, you're right. And we got to let people know we're right, right? So I'm just going to, let me find a good one here. I should find one that says you're welcome. Nope, this is the biggest one. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. I don't like being political, so I'm doing that without any politics involved. Bitcoin just made it back to the 200 moving average. Yes. Yes, it did, brother. Yes, it did. Can't hate that. Everything's launching. The Fubo people are kicking ass today. Like, it's a good day. It's a good day. All right. Yeah, hit the likes if you're here, guys. I'm so happy right now. There's so many good things happening in personal life and in the financial world. It's going to be amazing. So we're here because RFK is supposed to be announcing in 20-ish minutes. Jesus Christ, just people beating people up. He's supposed to announce in 20-ish minutes that he's going to be supporting Trump, or at least that's the thesis, the one I have, the one a lot of people seem to have. So that's what we're waiting on right now. I actually want to show you guys a video. This is the democratic values I stand for. I want to show you guys this real quick while we wait. We got time. So this is the video. There's 130,000 people waiting. So we'll be hopping into that in a second. But let me see here. Let me just make sure there's nothing live. Nope, it's still just dead. It plays no noise when it's going. All right, I want you guys to see this. This is amazing. This is the Democratic Party that I stand for. This is the kind of liberal I am. Conservative on fiscal stuff, but this is the kind of liberal I am. And it's just beautiful. It basically, I mean, it just brings you back to a time of old with JFK many moons ago, and what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is trying to recreate right now. It's really cool. Anyway, we got 7 minutes on this. That'll get us real close, and then we'll do some more chatting. One sec.
I'm sure you will.
Oh, let me do this. Let me change to my headset so that we don't get any reverb. Make sure that volume.
Know the source of this.
Oh, that's loud.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a
free and open society.
All right, I'm trying to turn it down. I think I got it at the right level.
People, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning.
Boy, if that doesn't sound like today.
To the very limits of official censorship and concealment.
This part
literally happening in the United or UK right now and other parts of the world.
Particular speech is very prophetic. I want to ask you about secrecy and secret societies in the sense of, you know, during the times of 1963 to 68, there was 4 assassinations, 2 whom were family members of yours, and the other 2 who were family members of mine.
Malcolm and Martin.
Malcolm X and Martin Luther King.
Love these people.
Now, as we talk about, you know, the forces that your uncle laid out, who do you think that he was speaking to? Because during the 60s, right, was one of the most powerful and pivotal times as far as leaders working to influence the future of America, right? And it seemed to be, you know, these forces behind the scenes that some people call shadow government, some people call managerial class, right? There's all of these different names for it. But people think about who has the most power. Often people think that it is the president of the United States. So why would he have such a veiled speech in a manner, right, about secrecy and secret orders and secret oaths and secret proceedings, right? What was he alluding to?
Just so that people know, that speech was my uncle, John F. Kennedy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, and, you know, I think he was warning us against the world that we now live in, which is one of his primary interests was keeping the country out of war. And he discovered very quickly into his administration that he was surrounded by an intelligence apparatus, military brass, who considered war with the Soviet Union not only to be inevitable, but also to be desirable and as quickly as possible, because at that point we had a larger arsenal than the Soviet Union. He refused to go to Cuba in 61, and then again in 63 during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And then he refused in 62 the opportunity to go to war during the Checkpoint Charlie crisis in Germany. He kept us out of Vietnam. He never sent a combat troop to Vietnam. And a month before he died, to the day, he signed National Security Order 263, ordering all the troops home from Vietnam. 30 days later, he was murdered. I think it was, he was referring to a group of people who were really robbing us of democracy. Democracy is about transparency because we own the government. The government has no business lying to us. And now it lies, not only lies, but hides things every day. You see it. I mean, we saw congressional hearings this week in which David Morenz, who was the deputy to Anthony Fauci, had emails in which he was bragging that he had been coached by the Freedom of Information staff, by the chief Freedom of Information officer at NIH, how to hide his emails, how to destroy them in ways in which he couldn't be caught. So that the transparency officer at that agency, the person who's in charge of making sure there's no secrets, was actually coaching high-level staffers how to keep secrets. And, of course, if government is allowed to keep secrets, they're not working for us anymore. They're working for somebody else. They're either working in their own interest.
Sorry, I just want you guys to see this. And the quotes at the beginning, and just listening to John F. Kennedy talk is pretty amazing too. But it's only 3 more minutes, and then we'll get back to it. We only have like maybe 14 minutes until he's going to do his thing. So pretty quick here.
Or they're working for some larger interest. And, I think that is the danger, that our democracy can be subverted. Teddy Roosevelt warned in 1903. He said, American democracy will never be destroyed by a foreign enemy. We're too powerful. We've got the oceans between us and any potential enemies. We have a very, very strong military, a huge economy. We simply cannot be conquered. But our democratic institutions and all the values of our country will be subverted by what he called malefactors of great wealth, who will steal them from within.
Who killed your uncle, right? Who killed your dad? And are they the same people that assassinated Martin Luther King and Malcolm X?
Yeah, and most people don't know this, but Martin Luther King's family, Dexter and Marty and the rest of the family, Coretta Scott King, who was with me when my dad died, and who then, was on the airplane when we brought my dad's body home from L.A. to New York. They sued. They did a lawsuit that received almost no publicity.
Meaning that they sued the government for the assassination of Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And won.
They won that suit, a civil suit.
Most of you probably don't even know
what we have now is so voluminous, including confessions of probably 30 people who were involved in his assassination. A lot of them deathbed confessions, but that clearly shows that there was CIA involvement. Lee Harvey Oswald, the New York Times now admits this.
Probably not you.
Was a CIA asset since, I think, 1957 or 58. And the CIA is still involved in covering.
Yes, Bitcoin could go to 70,000. Maybe not today, in a week. Maybe today.
Bring up the final documents that are legally, the government legally is required. Congress passed a law saying that.
Yeah, so that's about 12 minutes actually from now, Shale. You're right.
By 2018, all documents related to my uncle's assassination had to be released. And
Thanks, Jax, for the birthday wishes. I'm glad to hear your Robin Hood's working, JJ. Very cool. Anyway, I'm not going to interrupt this. I'm going to let him finish this last minute here.
The CIA will not allow that to happen. President Trump ran in 2016 and said he was going to release them all. He got into office and he changed his mind. President Biden made the same promise. He got into office and changed his mind. Why did they change their mind? What are they hiding?
If you were elected to be president, would you then release the files of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Robert F. Kennedy, and John F. Kennedy? And would you keep that promise, which is hard to say as a politician?
I'm going to release all those documents.
The day.
Yeah, that's going to be a big day. I'm going to sign an executive order forbidding all federal agents, any federal employee from lying to the public. And the executive order is going to say any federal officer official who lies to the public in conjunction with his official duties is going to immediately lose his job. I'm going to pass another executive
that
order,
makes sense.
day one, forbidding the CIA from propagandizing American people.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't even know the story of Robert F. Kennedy. But I'd love to see him be a part of the cabinet. I'd love to see him be in charge of the CIA. I think Elon Musk always talks about how the most humorous outcome is probably the right one. Wouldn't that be humorous if Trump won and Robert F. Kennedy was in charge of the CIA and got to know everything that he's been probably wanting to know most of his life, since his father was killed and his uncle was killed, and then his father's friend, Martin Luther King. So it's just insanity. But very excited to have this come up here. Very excited to see what comes next. Let me real quickly here. I'm just going to look over, see if there's anything on the economic calendar that's updated that we can check out real quick between now and the next 10-ish minutes before Robert F. Kennedy addresses the nation to be what I think is going to be his. It's probably going to be some messaging that he wants to get across because he's got a pulpit, and then at the same time, it's going to be to endorse Donald J. Trump. So it should be a really monumental day. It looks like building permits. We already looked at that earlier. New home sales. There we go. Let's take a look. Nice number. At least the best in the last year. Let's go back further. The best in 2.5 years. The best new home sales number in 2.5 years. Congratulations, everybody. Some shit's happening. That's good. So hopefully we'll see more of that here soon. Let me go back. See what else we got. Oil rig counts. Nobody cares about that. We already had Jackson Hole. If you missed it, it was all good. It's basically we're pivoting, and that's the answer that the markets wanted. And we're probably going to get our 25 bips in September, and the market's rallying nicely from everything that's going on. So all this stuff looks good. Let's double check the news real quick and make sure that there's nothing else happening that we want to check out. I'll move this over here. I'll log into my account too and see how it's doing. I'm up about $140,000 today, so I can't complain. It looks like maybe 150, honestly, with my other accounts. So I'm having a good day. Sleep directly correlates. Okay. Farzad's had a kid now, so he's thinking about a lot of things in life, including sleep cycles. Tesla launches Amazon storefront in Canada. It's now a dedicated page. Wow. What does that even mean? Cool. That's crazy. What kind of a, what? I'm going to put it on here. I don't even know what that means. We're selling Teslas on Amazon? What the heck? All right, let me get back over here real quick. Make sure I still got the audio. I'm going to check a couple other sources too and just make sure. I mean, this is it. I'll just get in here. Just want to make sure. I wish there was almost something playing in the background so I knew it was working. X is a little weird sometimes in the way they do video. I don't love it. All right, let's check Bitcoin real quick. I should actually bring that up in the stream if I don't already have it. Yeah, I don't. I'm going to fix that. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to switch to this view. I'm going to bring out some Bitcoins and put it down in the bottom right or left. That way you guys can see it. Bitcoin is now at 63,400. You can't say this isn't directly correlated with what's happening here with Robert F. Kennedy in a second. It 100% is. It literally popped the second he announced this and the news stream started to pick it up. Let me get this in the stock ticker though, right here. Should pop up. And I'm going to get it to a shorter time frame so we can just look at this, what could end up being a god candle if we keep this stuff up. If you look at the 4 hour, such a nice breakout over the 200 moving average, and now we're over the 200 moving average on the daily candle. I'm going to make this a little more fun, though. I love doing this. I love getting these shorter time frames. And then I'll just move this over. That way we can see this thing really rocket. But yeah, wow. What a day. What a day it's been. I'm actually going to drop to the 30-minute too. I think I said yesterday that both of these things were going to send us flying. I'm pretty sure I said that. Do you guys remember that? Can anybody in chat? Can you guys tell me? Did I not call this shit to a T? Like all of it? All of it? Like Robert F. Kennedy a week and a half ago, I was telling people that he was going to support all of this, or support Trump, and that he would switch sides. I told you guys that heading into the DNC, and by the end of it, that Kamala's polls would be dropping. That's exactly what they're doing. And now we're getting ready to hand like 2.5, 3 points from Robert Kennedy over to Trump. And then I told you that Bitcoin was going to go up while all this was happening, and that markets would too. I'm pretty sure all those fucking things are happening. So I'm just going to toot my own fucking horn today, because I'd be crushing it. Let me get back over here so I got my stream in front of me. Is it there? Where do I have you? Ah, there you are. All right, I lost my chat for a second. Sorry. I did, right? I called it. Yes. So it's just pretty exciting. We're sitting at about 6 minutes now, and then we'll have Kennedy speaking. I am so excited about this. If you guys didn't watch this video over here, oh no, he's pushed it out again. It's 2:40. It's 1:45 Central now. I might play this video again, guys. It's just so good for anybody who didn't hear it already. I'll get caught up in chat real quick, and then maybe I'll do that. It's so good. You guys have to know this story about Robert F. Kennedy and his thoughts behind the assassination of his father and his uncle and Martin Luther King, and a deep state that's behind it. Because they couldn't get the war machine running. It's actually crazy. And then just even the lawsuits that happened and were won. It's a really crazy story. We are pushing 63,500 right now. I want to play this for you. This is a big deal. What's happening right now is monumental. You have to realize that. Let's listen real quickly here. Just 1 second. Make sure this plays. Let me see here. You gonna play? You gonna play? All right, let me do this again. I'll just have to refresh. I think his page is getting slammed. There's 440,000 people waiting right now. But I want you guys to hear this.
I'm sure you will know the source of this. The very worst.
Here's JFK speaking for a second, and then we'll go back and talk to Robert Kennedy. And the black man that's talking is a descendant of Martin Luther King.
Secrecy is repugnant in a
free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning.
That's exactly what's happening right now in the United States. That's what's been happening in the UK. Just listen to this.
To the very limits of official censorship and concealment.
Censorship and concealment. Does that feel like anything that's happening right now? Just listen.
This particular speech is very prophetic. I want to ask you about secrecy and secret societies in the sense of, during the times of 1963 to 68, there was 4 assassinations, 2 whom were family members of yours, and the other 2 who were family members of mine.
Malcolm and Martin.
Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Now, as we talk about, the forces that your uncle laid out, who do you think that he was speaking to? Because during the 60s, right, was one of the most powerful and pivotal times as far as leaders working to influence the future of America, right? And it seemed to be, these forces behind the scenes that some people call shadow government, some people call managerial class, right? There's all of these different names for it.
I try to find the
but
truth.
People think about who has the most power. Often people think that it is the president of the United States. So why would he have such a veiled speech in a manner, right, about secrecy and secret orders and secret oaths and secret proceedings, right? What was he alluding to?
Just so that people know, that speech was my uncle, John F. Kennedy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, and, you know, I think he was warning us against the world that we now live in, which is one of his primary interests was keeping the country out of war. And he discovered very quickly into his administration that he was surrounded by an intelligence apparatus, military brass, who considered war with the Soviet Union not only to be inevitable, but also to be desirable and as quickly as possible, because at that point we had a larger arsenal than the Soviet Union. He refused to go into Cuba in 61, and then again in 63 during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And he refused in 62 the opportunity to go to war during the Checkpoint Charlie crisis in Germany. He kept us out of Vietnam. He never sent a combat troop to Vietnam. And a month before he died, to the day, he signed National Security Order 263, ordering all the troops home from Vietnam. 30 days later, he was murdered. I think it was, he was referring to a group of people who were really robbing us of democracy. Democracy is about transparency because we own the government. The government has no business lying to us. And now it lies, not only lies, but hides things every day. You see it. I mean, we saw congressional.
And they censor social media content. They control the mainstream media 9-1.
Hearings this week.
Not good.
In which David Morenz, who was the deputy to Anthony Fauci, had emails in which he was bragging that he had been coached by the Freedom of Information staff, by the chief Freedom of Information officer at NIH, how to hide his emails, how to destroy them in ways in which he couldn't be caught. So that the transparency officer at that agency, the person who's in charge of making sure there's no secrets, was actually coaching high-level staffers how to keep secrets. And, of course, if government is allowed to keep secrets, they're not working for us anymore. They're working for somebody else. They're either working in their own interests or they're working for some larger interest. And, I think that is the danger, that our democracy can be subverted. Teddy Roosevelt warned in 1903, he said, American democracy will never be destroyed by a foreign enemy. We're too powerful. We've got the oceans between us and any potential enemies, where we have a very, very strong military, a huge economy.
I mean, all those things are still true.
We simply cannot be conquered. But our democratic institutions and all the values of our country will be subverted by what he called malefactors of great wealth, who will steal them from within.
Who killed your uncle, right? Who killed your dad? And are they the same people that assassinated Martin Luther King and Malcolm X?
Yeah, and most people don't know this, but Martin Luther King's family, Dexter and Marty and the rest of the family, Coretta Scott King, who was with me when my dad died, and who then, was on the airplane when we brought my dad's body home from L.A. to New York. They sued. They did a lawsuit that received almost no publicity.
Meaning that they sued the government for the assassination of Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And won.
They won that suit, a civil suit. The evidence that we have now is so voluminous, including confessions of probably 30 people who were involved in his assassination. A lot of them deathbed confessions, but that clearly shows that there was CIA involvement. Lee Harvey Oswald, the New York Times now admits this, was a CIA asset since, I think, 1957 or 58. And the CIA is still involved in covering up the final documents that are legally, the government legally is required. Congress passed a law saying that by 2018, all documents related to my uncle's assassination had to be released, and the CIA will not allow that to happen. President Trump ran in 2016 and said he was going to release them all. He got into office and he changed his mind. President Biden made the same promise. He got into office and changed his mind. Why did they change?
Doesn't it make you super curious what actually happened when you have multiple presidents and different parties that all of a sudden don't want to tell you the truth about what's happened? They don't want these files to be released.
Their mind, what are they hiding?
If you were elected to be president, would you then release the files of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X?
Now, this won't happen because he's withdrawn, but we'll see. If he's the head of the CIA, maybe he'll have more power than he had before.
Robert F. Kennedy and John F. Kennedy. And would you keep that promise, which
The
is
day I
hard to
get
say
into
as a
office, I'm
politician?
going to release all those documents.
The day.
Yeah, that's going to be a big day. I'm going to sign an executive order forbidding all federal agents, any federal employee from lying to the public. And the executive order is going to say any federal officer, official.
Why should we allow our federal government to lie to us anyway, for any reason?
Who lies to the public in conjunction with his official duties is going to immediately lose his job. I'm going to pass another executive order day one, forbidding the CIA from propagandizing American people.
I am for both those things, man. I like, wow, we have 617,000 people waiting for this right now. This is crazy. I'm just going to click on this. I go in here. This should automatically pick up and start going right away when we're here. Just give me 1 second here. 1 second. You guys, how I know how I am with my coffee. My wife just hooked me up, so can't survive without it. So we got less than 10 minutes now. They pushed it a couple of times. Let's see if they have an update in here. Not in here. Everybody's going Trump 2024 because they're excited that he's going to start backing Trump. I'm sure that's going to happen. Bitcoin's excited too, buddy. All right, let's see here. So yeah, he said one. Yeah. So again, like 10 minutes, we should have him on here. Let me get caught up with chat and see how you guys are doing. 1 second here. I'm actually going to fix a little bit of this. My chat has been too small, and it just makes it to where I can't freaking read it. I'm going to try and do something here. There we go. That's better. All right, cool. Let me see. All right. Times change. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will now address. Okay. Steve said, anyone in Robinhood having issues? My account is failing to load. It's probably just really busy today. There's a lot going on, man. If you got an order, you might want to place it. JJ the Savage, my Robinhood is working. Jax, happy birthday. Thank you, sir. Shale, we said that again. Jax, God Candle incoming. I hope so. Let me get way down here and get caught up. Engineered says, seems like it's only the wall connector, but maybe just a start. I don't know what we're talking about. Stefan, Jesse, did you see Whistling Diesel? I did. I saw his latest one. Yeah. I still disagree with him. I think that the truck is just fine. I think that what they did with that drop was insane. And I think that if the vehicle is disattaching, if you've got like a toe on the back and you've had that kind of damage, you've already had the accident. And if the hitch breaks after that point, it's probably not as big of a deal. Just like if a truck was totaled and flipped over in a road. So I don't care about, like, here, I do have respect though. I have respect for Whistling Diesel. He did say that he appreciates like the innovation and all the stuff that Elon's doing, but he still thinks it's a big issue because he did it with dropping it 6 feet off of something onto a concrete edge and then cracking it. And somehow he's got enough of a scientific background to know that that's going to be too dangerous for 11,000 pounds of load. But he did find one other example. I couldn't find it myself on X. I couldn't find the example that he had referenced where somebody had an issue with their hitch breaking off from the frame. But I don't know, man. I'm going to err on the side that it's fine because that's every experience I've had with Tesla is that they do a really good job managing all this stuff. And that Whistling Diesel is just doing what he does, breaking shit very well. You got to remember the Ford F-150 or 250, whatever he had. That thing couldn't even do what the Cybertruck was doing when the hitch broke. It couldn't even do it. So, and even his comparison, if you guys watch the video, it just drops down. He drops it a bunch of times, but I still argue that the force isn't the same. He's not dropping it at like from high up down towards the bottom of it, right on the edge. It's just like there's so much other science that happens in that little part. Yeah, so again, I don't think anything of it. Oh, what else anyway? What does that even mean? Dedicated page on Amazon? I don't know what a dedicated page on it. I mean, you just buy your Tesla on Amazon. It's like, hey, I should get some toilet paper and Cybertruck. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Let me know if you figure it out. Tyler, Robinhood rugging us. Robinhood rugged us. How did they do that? How did Robinhood rug us? Let me look at Robinhood here. Robinhood is up 6% today. Fucking rug pull. Painful. Only up 50% in short period of time. Let's see, 2 weeks. 2 weeks we're up 50%. I feel rugged to fuck on Robinhood. Good call, bro. Disease Kodak. It's my birthday Tuesday, bro. Kind of birthday bros, man. I think close enough where it counts. All right, let me see how we're doing here. We got 6 minutes. 6 minutes till Robert F. Kennedy. Very, very exciting. Disease Kodak. Can't believe the Savage has his birthday right before me. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't see that. I missed that. That's great. We're all together. Bobby B, you called it. Market goes boom. Prentice Powell, yes he does. Christopher Brown, what a day. Danny Ventura, great call, Jesse. Yes, I just wanted to read off the ones where everybody told me I did a great job. Raphael, CLSK calls. They're printing, I'm sure. You know what? I should pull up my account, I suppose. Take a look at that. Look at this, though. This is looking almost like a 3 white soldier. This one is a little smaller, so it's not quite there. But, I mean, whatever. It all looks beautiful. It looks really, really good. Let's see what I'm sitting at for today. See if I can bring this over and show it to you. It looks like I'm probably doing like 130, maybe 140 on the day. Not the worst number in the world. Tesla up 60,000. Mar up 17. MicroStrategy 13. This is just the main account. CLSK 20. I'm willing to bet those calls. Yeah, 14.65. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I sold Tesla or CleanSpark stock and I bought some calls because I'm getting 2 1/3 X right now on them, and it's only going to get better. So it's going to be very exciting. All right, let me see what else we got here. Steve, Adrian just said RFK endorsed Trump officially. Adrian? Who the fuck is Adrian? Adrian! I mean, he probably has. I think that's probably true. But who's Adrian Dittman? I don't know who that is. I think he's going to... I think a lot of people know this. I mean, they've known this for days. That's why I've been telling you guys this is what's coming. So this says it's on. I don't know how much more you can do here. Let me see here. I think this is about as deep. Yeah. So we're still in it. And we've got 4 minutes. You don't know Adrian? I mean, Adrian is a name I think I know a few of. Come on, guys. Are you fucking with me right now? Stephen Walter. AP confirming RFK endorses Trump. Oh, dude. What? Let's go to these others here. There's got to be something under this. Just got to see this. I don't see anything official yet, but maybe I need to look it up. Everybody's waiting in the RFK channel. Withdraws to endorse Trump, but yeah, let me just put... let me see if I can... I'll look up real Donald Trump, maybe. I should just look up the word, though. I shouldn't look up him. Because I doubt he's going to have it on here before they do it. No, he's not. Real Donald Trump. You don't know Adrian. Got boxing gloves coming out now in chat. Watch out, guys. 63118. Yeah, dude, 63,000. It ain't bad. What does this say? Biden and Harris accomplishments. That's funny. I'm going to post that. Who is that, Trump? That's funny. He just piggybacked on her. God, talking shit. A young RFK supporter says that he'll vote Trump if Kennedy endorses.
Kennedy could come out and
so many
Caesar,
people doing
also
this.
a young American voter. You can see he's got the vote Kennedy Shanahan. And you know what? There are rumors that potentially Kennedy could come out and endorse Donald Trump today. Now, if that is the case, would you then change your vote from Kennedy to Trump?
Yes, I think anything that we can do to get Kennedy in a higher position is worth it. I believe any decision that Kennedy makes, it comes from an in place. So he has my full confidence and support in anything he decides to do.
Cool.
Caesar, also a young American voter. You can see he's got the vote Kennedy Shanahan. And you know what?
So, who the fuck is Adrian? Is Adrian a real account? And what do I look it up with? What do I look it up with? Hey, chick. What's up, dude? I'm trying to figure out what's going on. It sounds like we've got unofficial confirmation that Robert F. Kennedy has endorsed Trump. We're still waiting on Kennedy to speak in an hour or 1 minute and 40 seconds. What a great Friday. Dude, if we get the official endorsement here in a second, this is just going to scream higher. And I was telling people earlier, I'm going to gloat a little bit more. I literally, for a week and a half, have been telling you that RFK was going to endorse Trump. I've been telling you and drop out of the race. I've been telling you that even though the polls showed Kamala Harris going up into the DNC, that was going to become problematic. She would have to start answering questions. The DNC would have issues with riots and all these other problems. That would hurt their image. Her positions would hurt the image. All of it turned out better than I even anticipated. Her scores dropped in the DNC instead of going up. And now we have Robert F. Kennedy supporting Trump. And I said that, hey, the better Trump does, the better Bitcoin and the markets are going to do. And all this is lining up perfectly. And the second the Newswire found out about Kennedy, Bitcoin started to launch. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome so much for being here. I'd like to introduce everyone to bring on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Oh, you can't hear this? Can you guys hear? Fuck. 1 second. Let me see if I can fix this. 1 sec. Why isn't it working?
Of civil rights.
There we go.
Democrats stood against authoritarianism, against censorship, against colonialism, imperialism, and unjust wars. We were the party of labor, of the working class. The Democrats were the party of government transparency and the champion of the environment. Our party was the bulwark against big money interests and corporate power. True to its name, it was the party of democracy. As you know, I left that party in October because it had departed so dramatically from the core values that I grew up with. It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money. When it abandoned democracy by canceling the primary to conceal the cognitive decline of the sitting president, I left the party to run as an independent. The mainstream of American politics and journalism derided my decision. Conventional wisdom said that it would be impossible even to get on the ballot as an independent because each state poses an insurmountable tangle of arbitrary rules for collecting signatures. I would need over 1 million signatures, something no presidential candidate in history had ever achieved. And then I'd need a team of attorneys and millions of dollars to handle all the legal challenges from the DNC.
And he fought hard.
Later, the naysayers told us that we were climbing a glass version of Mount Impossible. So the first thing I want to tell you is that we proved them wrong. We did it because beneath the radar of mainstream media organs, we inspired a massive independent political movement. More than 100,000 volunteers sprang into action, hopeful that they could reverse our nation's decline. Many worked 10-hour days, sometimes in blizzards and blazing heat. They sacrificed family time, personal commitments, and sleep month after month, energized by a shared vision of a nation healed of its divisions. They set up tables at churches and farmers markets. They canvassed door to door. In Utah and in New Hampshire, volunteers collected signatures in snowstorms, convincing each supporter to stop in the frigid cold, to take off their gloves, and to sign legibly. During a heat wave in Nevada, I met a tall, athletic volunteer who cheerfully told me that he had lost 25 pounds collecting signatures in 117-degree heat. To finance this effort, young Americans donated their lunch money, and senior citizens gave up part of their Social Security checks. Our 50-state organization collected those millions of signatures and more. No presidential campaign in American political history has ever done that. And so I want to thank all of those dedicated volunteers and congratulate the campaign staff who coordinated this enormous logistical feat.
Yeah, he's
Your
great, man.
accomplishments were regarded as impossible. You carried me up that glass mountain. You pulled off a miracle. You achieved what all the pundits said could never be done.
1 million people watching
You
this.
have my deepest
on X.
gratitude, and I'm never going to forget that.
We love you,
Not
RFK.
just for what you did for my campaign, but for the sacrifices you made because you love our country. You showed everyone that democracy is still possible here. It continues to survive in the press and in the idealistic human energies
Yeah, Joe Rogan
that
will
still
come. Everybody
thrive
will come.
beneath the canvas of neglect and of official and institutional
And Bitcoin
corruption.
will go higher.
Today, I'm here to tell you that I will not allow your efforts to go to waste.
Fuck yeah.
I'm here to tell you that I
Fuck
will
yeah.
leverage your tremendous accomplishments to serve the ideals that we share, the ideals of peace, of prosperity, of freedom, of health, all the ideals that motivated my campaign. I'm here today to describe the path forward that you have opened with your commitment and with your hard labors. Now, in an honest system, I believe that I would have won the election. In a system the kind that my father and my uncles thrived in, a system with open debates, with fair primaries, with regularly scheduled debates, with fair primaries, and with a truly independent media untainted by government propaganda and censorship. In a system of nonpartisan courts and election boards, everything would be different. After all, the polls consistently showed me beating each of the other candidates, both in favorability and also in head-to-head matchups. But I'm sorry to say that while democracy may still be alive at the grassroots, it has become little more than a slogan for our political institutions, for our media, and for our government, and most sadly at all for me, the Democratic Party. In the name of saving democracy, the Democratic Party set itself to dismantling it, lacking confidence in its candidate, that its candidate could win in a fair election at the voting booth. The DNC waged continual legal warfare against both President Trump and myself. Each time that our volunteers turned in those towering boxes of signatures needed to get on the ballot, the DNC dragged us into court, state after state, attempting to erase their work and to subvert the will of the voters who had signed those petitions. It deployed DNC-aligned judges to throw me and other candidates off the ballot and to throw President Trump in jail. It ran a sham primary that was rigged to prevent any serious challenge to President Biden. Then, when a predictably bungled debate performance precipitated the palace coup against President Biden, The same shadowy DNC operatives appointed his successor, also
maybe 2028.
without an election. They installed a candidate
Or just
who
a part
was
of
so
government.
unpopular with voters that she dropped out in 2020
For years to come.
without winning a single delegate. My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe to toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who, like Vice President Harris, has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted
This is so
encounter with
damning.
voters
This
for
is so
35
damning.
days. This is profoundly undemocratic. How are people to choose
Hit the like,
when they
guys,
don't
if you're here,
know
please.
whom they are choosing? And how
This is a
can
monumental
this
day.
look to the rest of the world? My father and my uncle were always conscious of America's image abroad because of our nation's role as the template for democracy, the role model for democratic processes, and the leader of the free world. Instead of showing us her substance and character, the DNC and its media
He's
organs
just shitting all over Kamala
engineered a
Harris
surge
right
of
now.
popularity for Vice
Kennedy.
President Harris based upon, well, nothing. No policies, no interviews, no debates, only smoke and mirrors and balloons in a
Kamala is
highly
burning down right now.
produced Chicago circus. There in Chicago is a string of Democratic speakers.
Thanks, George. If you guys
mentioned
click
Donald
that, you can
Trump
have a membership.
147
Then you can ask about
times
stocks in the
just on
market
first
recap.
day. Oh, who needs a policy when you have Trump to hate?
Thanks, George. Really appreciate it.
In contrast, at the RNC convention, President Biden was mentioned only twice in 4 days. I do interviews every day. Many of you have interviewed me. Anybody who asks gets to interview me. Some days I do
They
as
did
many
earn
as
this.
10.
They're getting what's
President
coming
Trump,
to them.
who actually was nominated and won an election, also does interviews daily. How did the Democratic Party choose a candidate that has never done an interview or debate during the entire election cycle? We know the answer.
Insane.
They did it by weaponizing the government agencies. They did it by abandoning democracy.
Weaponizing
They
mainstream
did it
media,
by suing the opposition,
social media,
and
lawsuits.
by disenfranchising American voters. What most
Fuck
alarms
yeah,
me
dude.
isn't how the Democratic Party conducts its internal affairs or runs its candidates. What alarms
Pete.
me is the resort to censorship and media control and the weaponization of the federal agencies. When a US president colludes with or outright coerces media companies to censor political speech,
Oh my
it's an
God,
attack on
he
our
is
most
just
sacred
throwing
right
it down.
of free expression, and that's the
Holy
very right
shit.
upon
Oh
which
my God.
all of our other constitutional
The mainstream
rights
media can't
rest.
hide this. This isn't Trump.
President Biden
This is a Kennedy
mocked Vladimir Putin's 88% landslide
stepping down from the race.
in the Russian elections, observing that Putin and his party controlled the Russian press and that Putin prevented serious opponents from appearing on the ballot. But here in America,
He's
the DNC
comparing
also
her to
prevented
Putin.
opponents from appearing on the ballot. And
the
our
party.
television networks expose themselves as Democratic Party organs. Over the course of more than a year in a campaign where my poll numbers reached at times in the high 20s, the DNC-aligned mainstream media networks
I tried to, George.
maintain a near perfect embargo on interviews with me. During his 10-month presidential campaign in 1992, Ross Perot gave 34 interviews on mainstream networks.
He is just
In
fucking
contrast,
Kamala
during
and the
the
Democratic
16
Party
months since I
so
declared
hard right
ABC,
now. Raw.
NBC,
Just
CBS,
fucking the shit out of them.
MSNBC, and
my
CNN
God.
combined gave only 2 live interviews from me. Those
Not
networks
yet.
instead
That's coming at
ran a
the end. This
continuous
is going to be
deluge
epic.
of
We're
hit
working up
pieces
to it.
with inaccurate, often vile, pejoratives and defamatory smears. Some of those same networks and colluded with the DNC to keep me off the debate stage.
Yeah, John F.
Representatives
Kennedy
of
and his
those
father,
networks are in this
they're
room
proud of him right now.
And I'll just
They're
take
proud
a
of this
moment
man.
to ask you to consider the many ways that your institutions have abdicated this really sacred responsibility duty of a free press to safeguard democracy and to challenge always the party in power. Instead of maintaining that posture of fear, skepticism toward authority, your institutions have made themselves government mouthpieces and stenographers for the organs of power. You didn't alone cause the devolution of American democracy, but you could have prevented it. The Democratic Party's censorship of social media was even more of a naked exercise of executive power. This week, a federal judge, Terry Doughty, upheld my injunction against President Biden, calling the White House's censorship project, quote, the most egregious violation of the First Amendment
How did you
in the
find it?
history of the United States of America. Doughty's previous 155-page decision details how just 37 hours
No,
after
Stefan, he
the
can
oath
take
of
his time.
office,
He's earned it.
swearing to uphold the Constitution.
The more he shits
President
on their party,
Biden
the better anyway.
and his White House opened up a portal and then invited the CIA, the FBI, CISA, which is a censorship agency.
Literally
It's
calling them
the
out right
center
now
of the censorship industrial
on the
complex.
public stage in the grandest of ways.
DHS, the IRS, and other agencies to censor me and other political dissidents on social media. Even today, users who try to post my campaign videos to Facebook or YouTube get messages that this content violates community standards. 2 days after Judge Doughty rendered his decision this week, Facebook was still attaching warning labels to an online petition.
All of liberal media, in conjunction with the FBI, are still doing the same things they were doing with Twitter and X a year and plus ago. So nothing but censorship. How can we not listen to this man? Why the fuck is YouTube, the shitty channel right here, able to censor people like this? Why the fuck is that possible?
Calling on
Ask yourself
ABC to include me in the upcoming debate. They said that violates community standards, their community standards. Censor lies. They don't fear lies. They fear the truth, and that's what they censor. And I don't want any of this to sound like a personal complaint, because it's not. For me, it's all part of a journey, and it's a journey that I signed up with.
Such a good dude.
But I need to make these observations because I think they're critical for us doing the thing that we need to do as citizens in a democracy to assess where we are in this country and what our democracy still looks like, and the assumptions about U.S. leadership around the globe. And are we living up? Are we really still a role model for democracy in this country? Or have we made it, a kind of a joke? And here's the good news. While mainstream outlets denied me a critical platform, they didn't shut down my ideas, which have especially flourished among young voters and independent voters, thanks to the alternative media.
I don't think he'll need security. He's
Many
already
months
said
ago, I
it.
promised
They don't want
the
to kill a
American
third
people
one.
that I would withdraw from the race if I became a spoiler. A spoiler is someone who will alter the outcome of the election but has no chance of winning. In my heart, I no longer believe that I have a realistic path to electoral victory in the face of this relentless systematic censorship and media control.
Literally calling out the
So I
deep
cannot
state.
in good conscience ask my staff and volunteers
What
to
the
keep
fuck is
working
happening?
their long hours or ask my donors to keep giving when I cannot honestly tell them that I have a real path to the White House. Furthermore, our polling consistently showed that by staying on the ballot in the battleground states, I would likely hand the election over to the Democrats, with whom I disagree on the most existential issues: censorship, war, and chronic disease. Oh, I want everyone to know that I am not terminating my campaign. I am simply suspending it and not ending it.
What?
My name, my name will remain on the ballot in most states. If you live in a blue state, you can vote for me without harming or helping President Trump or Vice President Harris.
Okay.
In red states, the same will apply.
Don't.
I encourage you to vote for me. And if enough of you do vote for me, and neither of the major party candidates win 270 votes, which is quite possible. In fact, today our polling shows them
What is he gonna
tying
do?
at 269 to 269. And I could conceivably still end up in the White House in a contingent election. But in about 10 battleground states where my presence would
Here we
be
go. This is
exploited,
it. This
I'm
is
going
it.
to remove my name. And I've already started that process and urge voters not to vote for me. It's with a sense of victory and not defeat that I'm suspending my campaign activities. Not only did we do the
Okay,
impossible,
so that's
by
exactly
collecting
what's
1 million
happening.
signatures,
So he's suspending his campaign activities in battleground states to hand the victory to Trump. So you will not be able to vote for him in a battleground state, but you'll be able to vote for him in others symbolically, which is a beautiful fucking message too. This is fucking brilliant.
we changed the national political conversation forever. Chronic disease, free speech, government corruption.
Basically, he won't be on the ballot in battleground states, so they can go to Trump. And he's telling everybody, go to Trump. Just watch.
Breaking our addiction to war. Oh, to throw my support to President Trump. The core clauses were free speech, a war in Ukraine, and the war on our children. I've already described some of my personal experiences and struggles with the government's censorship industrial complex.
Fuck yeah.
I want to say a word about the Ukraine war. The military industrial complex has provided us with a familiar comic book justification like they do on every war. And this one is a noble effort to stop a supervillain, Vladimir Putin, invading the Ukraine and then to thwart his Hitler-like march across Europe. In fact, tiny Ukraine is a proxy in a geopolitical struggle initiated by the ambitions of the U.S. neocons.
This is a really smart way to do this.
For American global hegemony. I'm not excusing Putin for invading Ukraine. He had other options. But the war is Russia's predictable response to the reckless neocon project of extending NATO to encircle Russia, a hostile act.
Wow, he's
credulous
using his
media
bully
rarely
pulpit
explained to
right now
Americans that
to go
we
after
unilaterally walked
everything
away
that's
from
been going
2
on.
intermediate nuclear weapons treaties with Russia, and then put nuclear-ready Aegis missile systems in Romania and Poland. This is a hostile act. And that the Biden White House repeatedly spurned Russia's offer to settle this war peacefully. The Ukraine war began in 2014 when U.S. agencies overthrew the democratically elected government of Ukraine and installed a hand-picked pro-Western government that launched a deadly civil war against ethnic Russians.
I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you take this opportunity to tell the truth?
From a peace treaty, the Minsk Agreement, that had been negotiated between Russia and Ukraine by European nations. And then in April of 2022, we wanted the war.
Yes, I do. I think he's going to be in
April
Arizona.
2022.
Yes, he is.
President Biden sent Boris Johnson to Ukraine to force President Zelensky to tear up a peace agreement that he and the Russians had already signed, and the Russians were withdrawing
doing judo
troops
right now. Yes, slow sounds.
Kiev and Donbass.
He's winning from all fronts.
And that peace agreement would have brought.
He'll be an advisor, no doubt. He'll be appearing with Trump later tonight in Arizona.
To remain part of Ukraine. President
Biden. This is going to be crazy, guys. I'll be at a late, but trust me, I'll be listening. I'll be listening along with you guys later.
His Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin simultaneously explained that America's purpose in the war was to exhaust the Russian army, to degrade its capacity to fight.
I'm actually okay with the degradation of their capacity. I think that's okay. We need to end the war, though. That's already happened.
Telling Americans about protecting Ukraine's sovereignty. Ukraine is a victim in this war, and it's a victim of.
I agree with that too.
West.
I agree with that too. He's right.
Since then, of Russia and both Russia and the West. Since then, We have, since tearing up that agreement, forcing Zelensky to tear up the
Yeah,
agreement.
you're right. He has chicken, bro.
We've
He's turned
squandered
every
the
candle, every 30-minute
flower of
candle grain.
Ukrainian youth, as many as 600,000 Ukrainian kids and over 100,000 Russian kids, all of whom we should be mourning, have died, and the Ukraine's infrastructure is destroyed. The war has been a disaster for our country as well. We squandered nearly $200 billion already, and these are badly needed dollars in our.
I actually want to argue against that. And I love RFK, but I just want to say one thing. $200 billion is super cheap to degrade Russia's military force. I think it sucks for Ukraine to be in the middle of all this. We need to help them get out of it. I think we need to find an end to the war. But I do think that at least this is partially effective at weakening Russia and making it to where we don't have to worry about them aligning with China. Enough said. Moving on. RFK.
Communities, suffering communities all over our country. The Nord Stream pipeline sabotage and the sanctions have destroyed Europe's industrial base.
That's true.
That at any
It's damaged
time
Europe
since
more than they realize.
1962.
That's true.
And the neocons in the White House don't seem to care at all. Our moral authority and our economy are in shambles. And the war gave rise to the emergence of BRICS, which now threatens to replace the dollar as the global reserve currency.
Not really.
This is
I love you, RFK, but you're losing me
first-class
here.
calamity for our country. Judging by her bellicose, belligerent speech last night in Chicago, we can assume that President Harris will be an enthusiastic advocate for this.
That's what Russia's doing
and
right now.
other
Their
neocon
GDP
military
increased from
adventures.
war.
And
Doesn't
President
actually
Trump
help them much,
says
though.
that he will reopen negotiations with President Putin and end the war overnight
I think that's what
as
needs to
soon as he
happen.
becomes president.
Again,
This
I think the
alone
war has actually benefited
could
us, but I think we
justify
need to
my
get the fuck
support
out
for his
and we
campaign.
need to stabilize that region of
Last
Europe.
summer, it looked like no candidate was willing
And
to
we need to start
negotiate
working with
a quick
Russia.
end to the Ukraine war, to tackle chronic
I
disease,
think that's what
epidemic,
happens.
to protect free speech, our constitutional
2024
freedoms, to
Treasury.
clean corporate influence out of our government,
I'd be better than
or
Gary
to defy the
Gensler.
neocons and their agenda of endless military adventurism. But now one of the two candidates has adopted
Chicken, bro.
these issues as his own, to the point where he has asked to enlist me in his administration.
Yeah.
I'm speaking, of course, of
Donald J.
Donald
Trump.
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 Less than 2 hours
I can't believe I'm a Trump fan.
after President Trump
Am I
narrowly
MAGA?
escaped
What the fuck?
assassination,
I did
Allie
buy
Means
shirts. I
called
bought
me on
shirts,
my
guys.
cell phone. I was
Still
then in
wearing
Las
the
Vegas.
shirts.
Allie is arguably the leading advocate for food safety, for soil regeneration, and for ending the chronic disease epidemic that is destroying America's health and ruining our economy. Allie has exposed the insidious corruption at the FDA, the NIH, the HHS, and the USDA that has caused the epidemic.
Balaji's going to fix that
Allie had
shit.
been working on
For any of you
off
guys
my
saw that first
campaign,
video, it was so good.
advising me on those subjects since the beginning.
Yeah, I guess I'm MAGA. Am I
And those
MAGA? I don't
subjects
know.
have been my primary focus.
I voted
for the
Biden last time. Does that
20
count?
years.
I don't know.
I was delighted when Callie told me that day that he had also been advising President Trump. He told me President Trump was anxious to talk to me about chronic disease
There you
and
go.
other subjects and to explore avenues of cooperation. He asked if I
So while Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party sued him into oblivion, where he had to pay $10 million in lawyer fees just to try and contest everything that they've had to contest thus far, the impossible wall that they could never get past, and never working with him and him offering up to speak with her, never doing anything with him, and Trump reached out to him to try and communicate with him to see how he could incorporate him into his organization. This is the difference between these two people.
would take a call from the president. President Trump telephoned me a few minutes later, and I met with him the following day. A few weeks later, on issues over which we differ, while working together on the existential issues upon which we are in concordance. I was a ferocious critic of many of the
I like that, Andy.
policies during his first administration, and there are still issues and approaches upon which we continue to have very serious differences. We are aligned with each other on other key issues like ending the forever wars, ending the childhood disease epidemics, securing the border,
Bitcoin's about to break out.
protecting freedom of speech, unraveling the corporate capture of our regulatory
Micro to
agencies,
Mac.
getting the
Oh,
U.S.
fuck.
intelligence agencies out of the
Don't
business
tell my
of
wife.
propagandizing and censoring and surveilling Americans
Oh, we're breaking out.
and interfering with
Bitcoin
our
just hit
elections.
63.5.
Following my first discussion with President Trump, I tried unsuccessfully to open similar discussions with Vice President Harris.
Let's shit on
Vice President
Harris.
Harris declined to meet or even to speak with me. Suspending my candidacy
I love this
is
so
a
much.
heart-rending decision for me, but I'm convinced that it's the best hope for
Bitcoin.
ending the Ukraine war and
It's in the
ending the
screen,
chronic disease
under my
epidemic
head.
that is eroding our nation's vitality from the inside, and for finally protecting free speech. I feel a moral obligation to use this opportunity to save millions of American children above all things.
Wow.
In case some of you don't realize how dire the condition is,
Wow,
our
he's
children's
not
health and
messing
chronic
around.
disease in general, I would urge you to view
We just
Dr.
broke 63.5,
Carlson's
guys.
recent interview with Callie Means and his sister, Dr. Casey Means, who is the top graduate of her class at
We're going to make
Stanford
so
Medical
much
School.
money by the time this day's over.
This is an issue that affects all of us far more directly and urgently than any culture war issue.
I don't know if
And
this-
all
this
the
isn't
other
refreshing.
issues that we obsess on and that are tearing apart our country. This is the most important issue.
See if I can do it over here.
Therefore, it has the potential to bring us together. So let me share a little bit about why I believe it's so urgent. Today, 2/3, we spend more on healthcare than any country on earth, twice what they pay in Europe. And yet we have
63.6.
the worst health outcomes of any nation in the world. We're about 79th in health outcomes behind Costa Rica and Nicaragua and Mongolia and other countries. Nobody has a
Yeah,
chronic
dude,
disease
Elon's
burden
going to be on an
like we
efficiency
have. And
committee.
during the
What the fuck?
COVID
There's going to be a
epidemic,
Bitcoin and
we have the
crypto
highest body
council.
count of any country in the world.
Do
We
you
have
realize how
16%
bullish
of
this
COVID
is,
deaths,
guys?
And we only have
I hope you guys get this shit.
4.2% of the world's population.
He's airing
And
all the
CDC
dirty
says
laundry.
that's because we are the sickest people on earth. We have the highest chronic
All of
disease
it.
rate on earth. And the average American who died COVID had 3.8
He's showing why he would have won.
chronic diseases.
He's showing
So
it.
these were
He's better than
people
both
who
of
had
them.
immune system collapse, who had mitochondrial dysfunction. And no other country has anything like this. 2/3 of American adults and children suffer from chronic health issues. 50 years ago, that number was less than 1%. So we've gone from 1%
Yeah, look at how fucked up our kids are now.
to 66%. In America, 74% of Americans are now overweight or obese, and 50% of our children. 120 years ago, when somebody was obese, they were sent to the circus. There were case reports done about them. Obesity was almost unknown. In Japan,
Wow, guys, real quick. My exchange is broken as fuck right now. I don't know about your guys's. Oh, it looks like it just came back a little bit. But I've got a feeling a lot of exchanges are getting rocked right now because there's so many people going, holy shit, the Fed is going to be accommodative and RFK is backing Donald Trump. The exchanges are getting rocked.
and the childhood obesity rate is 3% compared to 50% here. Half of Americans
like, guys.
have
Good.
pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, which is now classified as diabetes. And it's costing this country more than our military budget every year. There's been an explosion of neurological illnesses that I never saw as a kid: ADD, ADHD, speech delay, language delay, Tourette syndrome, narcolepsy, ASD, Asperger's, autism. In the year 2000, the autism rate was 1 in 1,500.
God, he is just
Now autism
fucking
rates in
dropping
kids are
so
1 in
much right
36,
now.
according to CDC nationally. Nobody's talking about this.
This is brilliant.
1 in every 22 kids in California has autism. And this is a crisis that 77% of our kids are too disabled to serve in the United States military.
Oh, dude,
What is happening
everything's
to our
going up.
country?
Everything's
And why
going
isn't
up.
this in the headlines every single day? There's nobody else in the world that is experiencing this.
That's
This
okay.
is
They can
only
ignore
happening
this.
in
This
America.
message will get out no matter what.
About 18%.
X has proven that you don't
and
need
by the
mainstream
way,
media anymore.
you know, there has been no change in diagnosis, which the industry sometimes like to say. There has been no change in screening. This is a change in incidence. In my generation,
Yeah, that's a lot.
70-year-old
dude.
men,
Mark, that's a lot.
the autism rates are about 1 in 10,000. In my kids' generation, 1 in 34. I'll repeat, in California, 1 in 22. Why are we letting this happen?
He has a
Why
medical
are we
condition
allowing this
with
to
his
happen
throat.
to our
I forget
children?
what it's called.
These are the most precious assets
Bears
that
are
we have in
fucked.
this
If
country.
you're a bear, you're fucked.
How can we let this happen to them?
Be clear.
About 18% of American teens now have fatty liver disease. That's like 1 out of every 5. That disease, when I was a kid, only affected late-stage alcoholics who were elderly.
Late stage alcoholics, now it's
Cancer
1 out
rates
of
are
5
skyrocketing in the
teens.
young and the old. Young adult cancers are up 79%. 1 in 4
And the
American
medical
women
complex
is
loves
on
this because they
antidepressant
can run
medication.
MRIs
40%
and they
of
can do all
teens have
these
a mental-
end of
teens
life
have a
cares that
mental
make them
health diagnosis.
tons of money. It's literally how
And
they prosper.
15% of high schoolers are on Adderall, and 500,000
Trump is
children on
tonight.
SSRIs.
We're going to listen to the rest of what
So
Robert
what's
F.
causing
Kennedy
this
has to
suffering?
say. Then later tonight in
I'll name 2
Arizona,
culprits.
Trump is going to
First,
be
and the
speaking, and he's
worst,
got a
is
special
ultra-processed
guest
food.
who happens to be in Arizona,
About
and his name's
70%
Robert
of
F. Kennedy.
American children's diet is ultra processed. That means industrial manufactured in a factory.
Me,
These
Kevin
foods
is
consist
fucked. If he's
primarily
bearish,
of
he's being an idiot
processed sugar,
again.
ultra processed grains,
63.6,
and seed oils.
63.7.
Laboratory
We're pushing towards
scientists who
64
formed-
here.
many
Let's
of
see if
them
we can hit
formerly
that.
worked for the cigarette industry, which purchased all the big food companies in the
We're
1970s
going to
and
make
80s.
so much money.
Deployed thousands of scientists to figure out chemicals, new chemicals, to make
So
the
much
food
money.
more addictive. And these ingredients didn't exist 100
Liver
years ago.
transplant at 29.
Hey, humans aren't biologically adapted to eat them. Hundreds of these
Yeah, this
chemicals
is
are now
epic,
banned in
T-Man.
Europe,
He's not fucking
but
around.
ubiquitous in American processed foods.
He could have literally won the
The
presidency.
second culprit
He's a
is toxic
gifted,
chemicals in our
hardworking
food, our
patriot of a
medicine,
man
in our environment.
in every sense.
Pesticides, food additives, pharmaceutical
Just on
drugs,
X,
and toxic
1.6
waste
million,
permeate
yes.
every cell of our bodies.
Just on X.
The assault on our children's cells and hormones is unrelenting.
Kevin's an
To
idiot.
name just
I'm
one
sorry,
problem,
but
many of these
he should go back to
chemicals
real
increase
estate.
estrogen
I like the guy,
because
but
young children are
whatever.
ingesting so many of these hormone disruptors. America's puberty rate
Short squeeze
is now
incoming.
occurring
Andres.
at age 10 to 13, which is 6 years earlier than girls were reaching puberty in 1900.
What the fuck?
Our
Why is
country
that?
has the earliest
real?
puberty rates of any
63.7.
continent on the earth.
Just hit it.
And no, this isn't because of better nutrition.
Now above it.
This is not normal. Breast cancer is also estrogen driven, and it now strikes 1 in 8 women. We are mass poisoning all of our children
Yeah,
and our adults.
This sounds right.
Considering the grievous human cost of this tragic
Me, Kevin's
epidemic
been
of chronic
voicing
disease, it
that
seems
the market
almost
is going to
crass
crash.
to
Like,
mention
I
the
know, he
damage
just gets
it does
stupid.
to our economy.
Don't listen to me, Kevin. Listen to me.
But I'll say, it is
Meet
crippling
micro to
the nation's
macro.
finances. When my uncle was
Yeah.
president, our country spent $0 on chronic disease. Today,
Sorry,
government
mister.
healthcare spending is almost all for chronic disease. And it's double the military budget.
Chronic
And it is
disease.
the fastest budget growing.
Imagine what happens if we can do a better job with the FDA, like
Chronic
that
disease
Vivek
costs more to the
Balaji
economy as
video
a
I
whole,
posted this
costs
last
at
week.
least $4 trillion,
And we can start
5
healing
times our
people
military
and
budget.
helping with the qualities of foods and, the
And
recommendations from the
that's a
federal government in regard to
20%
this stuff,
drag on
and make it
everything we do
more
and
effective for
everything we aspire
drugs
to.
and things to go through for the processes
Or
they
in
need to go
minority
through.
communities suffer disproportionately. People who
We need
worry
to be
about
healthier. There's a reason this guy
DEI
has
or
six-pack
about,
abs.
bigotry of any kind. This dwarfs anything. We are poisoning the poor. We are systematically poisoning minorities across this country. Industry lobbyists have made sure that most of the food stamp lunch program, about 70% of food stamps and 70 or 77% of school lunches
Robert
are
F. Kennedy
processed
said,
foods.
"Fuck your 15 minutes
There's
of
no
fame." He's
vegetables.
taken the whole
There's
hour,
nothing that
maybe
you
two.
would want to eat.
I love it though.
We
I love
are
it.
just poisoning the poor citizens, and that's why they have the highest
Poly market's slow.
chronic disease
They're not as smart as
burden
we
of
are.
anybody, any demographic in our country, and the highest in the
Cole, wait, real quick. Kev means well and is a family man. Just don't take his advice. Yeah, dude, I think he's actually a really nice person in probably the family setting, but he's all over the place. He's trying to day trade markets, and he's new to it, and he's fucking people that are following him.
world. The same food industry lobbied to make sure that nearly all agricultural subsidies go to commodity
we're going through
crops that
everything,
are the
dude.
Feedstock
Everything.
to
Everything he
fruits
wanted
and
to voice, he's
vegetables.
voicing.
It makes no sense. If we want a healthy
Yeah,
country,
I agree, chicken bro. It's his
the
moment.
good
Let him
news
have
is
it.
that we can change all this.
And he
We
will.
can change it very, very quickly. America can get healthy again. To do that, we need to do three things. First, we need to root out the corruption in our health agencies.
Fuck yeah.
Second, we need to change incentives in our healthcare system. And third, we need to inspire Americans to get healthy again. 80% of
Sorry to interrupt. Kennedy's spot on with all of this, but Andy Zhao just said Kevin never understood Bitcoin. I don't think anyone has sat him down to explain it fully. If you don't understand Bitcoin, I don't want to take financial advice from you. That's a golden rule. I would just throw it out there for you guys.
NIH grants go to people who have conflicts of interest. These are the people
Pushing towards
virtually
63.8 on
everybody who
Bitcoin.
sits Joe Biden, what Americans here is
Sorry,
healthy.
it's their stuff.
And
It's
the
getting a little weird, I
recommendations on
think.
the food pyramid and and what goes to our school lunch
Yeah, the food
programs,
pyramid's
which
bullshit.
Go to the program, the Swiss program, the food stamp programs.
Yeah.
They're all corrupted and conflicted individuals. These agencies, the FDA, USDA, and CDC, all of them are controlled by giant for-profit corporations. 75% of the FDA's funding doesn't come from taxpayer, it comes from pharma. And pharma executives.
Oh, he's getting ready to go off on pharma. I just wanted to talk to someone. First off, Dr. Gonzo says, I actually follow that golden rule that somebody has to understand Bitcoin before I take financial advice from him. That's smart. Great for you, man. Andy Zhao, we need to get Saylor to speak to me, Kevin, for an hour. Here's the problem I have. Why hasn't he fucking listened to Michael Saylor? Why does he think that he's smarter than all these really brilliant people that are in the Bitcoin industry? And now even Larry Fink, the CEO of fucking BlackRock, tells you that it's gold 2.0 and you don't do your research? What the fuck, me, Kevin? What the fuck? How are you not paying attention to any of this shit? Anyway, back to Big Pharma. Thank you, Robert F. Kennedy.
And consultants and lobbyists cycle in and out of these agencies with President Trump's backing. I'm going to change that. We're going to staff these agencies with all for a condition, obesity, that is completely preventable and barely even existed 100 years ago. And 74% of Americans are obese. The cost, if all of them took their
Congrats,
Ozempic
mister.
prescription, is $3 trillion a year.
$3 trillion.
This is a drug that is made by Novo Nordisk, the biggest company in Europe. It's a Danish company,
Lee's
and
way
the
better than
Danish
Michael
government
than
does not
Kevin.
recommend it. It recommends change in diet to treat obesity and exercise. And in our country, the recommendation now is for Ozempic to children at age 6.
At age 6? Are
Novo
you
Nordisk,
fucking...
the biggest company in Europe,
What?
and virtually its
Trump
entire
speaks
value
now? Did you
is
say
based
Trump's
upon
talking
its
right now,
projections
Anton?
of what it's going to sell.
Or you mean
Ozempic
tonight?
It's going to sell to America.
Trump's talking later tonight in
And,
Arizona.
and we have the food lobbyists have a bill in front of Congress today that is backed by the White House, backed by Vice President Harris and President.
I can't keep track of Meet Kevin and what he does from day to day, whether he's bullish or bearish. He should just know how to invest and understand global liquidity and Bitcoin and just a whole bunch of other things. But yeah, I don't know, fucking know. I don't really care either.
Biden to
63.8, we're pushing 63.8.
$3 trillion cost that is going to bankrupt our country. For a fraction of that amount,
We need to do everything
subsidies.
Robert F. Kennedy is talking
we're
about.
going to get toxic chemicals out of our food. We're going to reform the entire food system. And for that, we need new leadership in Washington. Because unfortunately, both the Democrats and the Republican parties are in cahoots with the big food producers. Big Pharma, and Big Ag, which are among the DNC's major donors. Vice President Harris has expressed no interest in
Yeah,
addressing
he
this
is,
issue.
Mark.
4 more years of Democratic rule will complete the
63-9.
consolidation
We're
of
getting closer to
corporate and
63-9,
neocon power,
64 before this thing is
and our
over, I think,
children
or right
will be
after.
the ones who suffer most. I got involved with chronic disease 20 years ago, not because I chose to or wanted to. It was essentially thrust upon me. It was an issue that should have been central to the environmental movement. I was a central leader at that time, but it was widely ignored by all the institutions, including the NGOs, who should have been
Wayne Sparks on
protecting our
Bloomberg.
kids
Cool.
against toxins.
Yeah, Steve.
It was
He's
an
great.
orphaned issue, and I had a weakness for orphans. I watched generations of children get sicker and sicker. I had 11 siblings, and I had 7 kids
Yeah,
myself.
I'm not switching to Trump. I'm listening to
I was
this.
conscious of what was happening in their classrooms and to their friends, and I watched these sick kids, these damaged kids. In that generation, almost all of them are damaged. And nobody in power seemed to care or to even notice. For 19 years, I prayed every morning that God would put me in a position
Oh,
to end this calamity. The chronic disease crisis
getting
was one
emotional.
of the primary reasons for my running for president, along with ending censorship in the Ukraine war.
we love you, man.
It's the reason I've made the heart-wrenching decision to suspend my campaign and
I
to
don't care
support
if he talks about
President
Bitcoin.
Trump. This decision is agonizing for me because of the difficulties it causes my wife and my children and my friends. But I have the certainty that this is what I've meant to do. And
Robert Kennedy's wife does not like Trump, and he is still going to support him. This man is amazing, like truly.
that certainty gives me internal peace, even in storms. If I'm given the chance to fix the chronic disease crisis and reform our food production, I promise that within 2 years, we will watch chronic disease burden lift dramatically. We will make Americans healthy again.
Good Christian.
Within 4 years, America will be a healthy country. We will be stronger, more resilient, more optimistic, and happier.
Fuck yeah.
I won't fail in doing this. Ultimately, the future, however it happens, is in God's hands and in the hands of the American voters and those of President Trump. If President Trump is elected and honors his word, the vast burden of chronic disease that now demoralizes and bankrupts the country will disappear.
This is fucking great.
This is a spiritual journey for me. I reached my decision through deep prayer, through hard-nosed
crying.
logic, and I asked myself, what choices must I make to maximize my chances to save America's children and restore national health? I felt that if I refused this opportunity, I would not be able to look myself in the mirror, knowing that I could have saved lives of countless children and reversed this country's chronic disease epidemic. I'm 70 years old. I may have a decade to be effective. I can't imagine that President Harris would allow me or anyone to solve these dire problems. After 8 years of President Harris, any opportunity for me to fix the problem will be out of my reach forever. President Trump has told me that he wants this to be his legacy. I'm choosing to believe that this time he will follow through. His son, his biggest donors, his closest friends, and all support this objective. My joining the Trump campaign will be a difficult sacrifice for my wife and children, but worthwhile if there's even a small chance of saving these kids. Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country and our children is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other. That's why I launched my campaign to unify America. My dad and uncle made such an enduring mark on the character of our nation, not so much because of any particular policies that they promoted, but because they were able to inspire profound love for our country and to fortify our sense of ourselves as a national community held together by ideals. They were able to put their love into the intentions and hearts of ordinary Americans and to unify a national populist movement of Americans, blacks and whites, Hispanics, urban and rural Americans. They inspired affection and love and high hopes and a culture of kindness that continue to radiate among Americans from their memory. That's the spirit on which I ran my campaign and that I intend to bring into the campaign of President Trump. Instead of vitriol and polarization, I will appeal to the values that unite us, the goals that we could achieve if only we weren't at each other's throats. The most unifying theme for all Americans is that we all love our children. If we all unite around that issue now, we can finally give them the protection, the health, and the future that they deserve. Thank you all very much.
Woo. I don't even know what to say after that. That was amazing. What do you guys think? I mean, I came into this excited to know that this endorsement would be coming for Trump because I think it's desperately needed at a time where we can't have a communist running our government and crashing our markets and just doing insane things that don't make rational sense. But fuck, that was intense. And now we know we have another person who is amazing supporting Donald Trump. I don't know how many you guys need. We got Elon Musk. We got J.D. Vance. We got Vivek. We got Balaji. We got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We got Tulsi Gabbard. We got a slew of fucking great people. Joe Rogan's going to be here. Theo Vaughn. We got like all these just like people I hold tons of respect for. All support this man right now. And I'm going to do that too. And I got a bunch of Trump shirts coming. I'm going to start wearing those on my streams. Sorry, libs. I know it's going to piss you off. I love you guys too. But I want freedom. I want our money to be fixed. I want our food to be fixed. And I want to not be censored by my government because I say things that make people uncomfortable. Dialogue is important. People need to have opposing opinions. That's okay. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay if I don't agree with you. Unless I'm doing something that's illegal, you have no fucking right to silence my voice. YouTube, this channel. Yeah, I'll probably get fucking demonetized for this bullshit too. But you don't have the right. You don't have the right. And in the future, decentralized systems will take away all your fucking power. The money will be taken, the distribution of media will be taken away from you, and these guys are going to help that happen. I got to take a break for a couple of minutes before the 3 o'clock for the market recap just so I can get caught up and just so I can process everything I just listened to. Love you guys. Let's talk again at 3, okay? See you in a bit.